you don't believe, you're not for the vaccine. That is a conspiracy theory.
But I'm not against the vaccine either, James. That's my whole point.
Right.
In this video, we're going to see another example of a crazy conspiracy-believing caller who called up James to argue that she doesn't believe in the vaccines and that she is more into natural health. And if these calls weren't so worrying, they would be funny. But unfortunately, we're now surrounded by people who think this sort of thing all the time. In fact, they put somebody in the White House who indulges in this rubbish. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Let's watch this together, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
Oh, hi, James. I've been really scared to ring about this subject, and the reason is because I'll give you the background. So I have always been in the natural health world. It's what I do for a living, and it's what I believe inherently. So my default is to do everything naturally. I exercise, eat well, take the relevant supplements, all that kind of thing. So when the vaccine came about...
As long as you're not seriously ill.
No, well, exactly.
Yeah.
But the way my needle moved was, I don't think I'm for the vaccine. Now, that doesn't make me a conspiracy theorist or weird person or anything like that. No, it doesn't.
Does it not?
And this is the problem. I'll tell you why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I took my mum for her jab. I took, I'm quite happy for that. I have... I don't discuss this with many people. And I said to you, the fact that even you just said, oh, it does a bit, that's so disrespectful to me. On the other side...
Well, it's really not, if it's true.
No, it's not. On the other side,
well,
I have those who are... Can I speak?
Yeah, well, of course you can, but you've just accused me of being disrespectful, so I need to defend myself. Okay. You don't believe... You're not for the vaccine. That is a conspiracy theory.
But I'm not against the vaccine either, James. That's my whole point.
Right.
That's my whole point. And it's this kind of pressure that's really made it difficult for me to make my decision. Now,
well, then speak to the scientists and the doctors.
Yes, which I have been listening. Within my circles, I would say the majority of people within my circles are very anti-vaccine, okay, because of obviously the information that we have from the natural health point of view. Now, the problem
which is cobblers.
Because I've not been pro-vaccine necessarily, I've then been almost labelled as the term that's being used as awake. On the other side, people who know better. I'm not comfortable with that because I'm not in that category either. I'm just in the middle of I'm just a person who says, I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, then speak to people who do know.
Well, the problem is...
Speak to virologists.
Can I? Well, okay. So the position I've come to...
But why is that even controversial thing to say? If your car breaks down, do you go to a mechanic or do you go to your friends in your circles?
The position I came to yesterday...
Please, just tell me that, if you would.
Look, can I just say, though, the position I came to yesterday is I am going to have the jab. I am going to have the jab,
Good. Well done.
Okay. And the reason was because I spoke to somebody... I've listened to lots of people, and this is what I wasn't getting a chance to do because everyone's so angry about this.
But no one's angry.
They are.
Well, maybe your mates are, but I think the question you need to ask them is if their car breaks down, will they talk to each other or will they drive to a mechanic's? If they need to have root canal surgery, will they get their mates round to do it in the kitchen or will they go to the dentist?
Very often you get second opinions. You go to a specialist.
Off another mechanic.
You go to a specialist or a mechanic, you go to another one, they give you two different quotes, two different ideas, two different diagnoses. And,
no, they don't.
This isn't my car, this is my body.
Yes, exactly, which is why you should be even more enthralled to experts and qualified people than you would be with your car. I mean, your argument is the opposite of what you think it is. You're suggesting that you would be more likely to trust your, quotes, circles and your natural mechanics than you would be to trust actually fully qualified, proven experts and people who spend their entire lives fixing cars.
The problem I have with this is that although the natural world isn't, we don't specialise in virology and vaccinations, obviously, that doesn't poo-poo the fact that the natural world or the natural medicine isn't a scientific entity, which it is. I've worked in this field for all of
the naturally occurring substances in the natural world that have efficacy in the context of treating illnesses have been absorbed into what we call not alternative medicine but actual medicine. So again, just get the jab and tell your friends next time their car breaks down to just join a Facebook group and see if that will fix their big end. Yeah?
I get that. I mean, last night, can I just say quickly, night I was invited to an awake group for people who are awake to go along to health rights meeting, which is about obviously not having your jab. And I think there's going to be, I hope the person who invited me is listening, but there's going to be like a 10-minute chant or something, or before we start.
Fix everything.
And you see, this is the world that I'm not part of.
Well, you're more part of it than I am.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm being invited into it, but I'm not, because there are many of us.
Listen, I'm out of time, and I've listened to you, and I wasn't disrespectful, because the people you're describing are cranks and crackpots, but I appreciate fully that calling them cranks and crackpots doesn't necessarily reach the parts that other words cannot reach. But my goodness me, this is a worry to me. I know it's only one switchboard, but the celebration, and I use the word cautiously, of the failure of the actual cranks and crackpottery to take over, it still makes a mockery of this notion of it being certain communities, which I think is quite toxic and deliberate and dangerous. But I wonder whether these world-beating take-up rates are going to suffer slightly when the offer is extended to younger people who perhaps aren't as conscious of their own vulnerability.
All right, so let's connect the dots between this caller and the last caller we looked at in a previous video, which I'll put the link to in the description below, where the last caller was lost and grasping for answers online. This caller has already found her new tribe. She's graduated from simple distrust into a structured belief system, the natural health world. And this is the consequence of that leadership vacuum we talked about in the previous video, where Boris Johnson led a catastrophic government. And James brilliantly exposes the core flaw in their entire worldview with the simple analogy of the car mechanic. Would you trust your friends to fix your car's engine? Well, of course not. So why would you trust them over a doctor for your own body? Her response to this logic is the most revealing part. She says, "This isn't my car, this is my body," as if that makes expertise less relevant. This is the central lie of the anti-science movement, that your personal feelings and intuition are more valid than decades of rigorous peer-reviewed evidence. She casually mentions being invited to an awake group that does a 10-minute chant. This isn't a scientific discussion group, of course, it's the language of a cult. But this is the end point. When a government's lies make people reject official experts, the grifters, gurus and cranks are waiting with open arms to offer a new symbol of truth. And this is really where we are in the UK and the US at the moment. The US way more, but the UK is steadily heading in that direction. The hero here is James, with his relentless, logical approach. I wouldn't call the caller a villain, but I would actually call the entire predatory ideology of the people that groom people like the caller into believing the nonsense they believe. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for more, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.